Technically speaking.
Welcome to Technically Speaking, where we help you increase your income through tech. JavaScript, again, it is to help with making websites interactive. So the buttons that we press and the things that, again, make us interact with the website is powered by JavaScript. So we have our HTML, which is, static, and then which is our our bones, and then we put in our CSS, which is colors and background and making text bigger or smaller or italic or in Roman time numerals, whatever, I don't know. So you do that with CSS. But JavaScript, again, it's to make it so we can click on things and we can play around in the website. Something like using geolocation. Again, this is why I had to learn this, because I had to put in geolocation for them. So how I started off was, again, basically learning the syntax. And some of the things you have in JavaScript are things such as variables. And just like in math class, variables can mean anything. So before we even, get too crazy with it, you did a little bit, well, some of you guys haven't already downloaded Visual Studio Code. But if you played around a little bit in the console, or even a little bit in the CLI, you can kind of see like, you can kind of do something like 2 plus 2, okay? And you can execute that and it will execute as 4, right? It has this intelligence to kind of do simple operations, and we can do simple things like math, okay? So we can make things a little more, complex by adding things like variables. And again, when you're thinking about math, a variable can say, you can say x equals 2, that's a variable. So if I ever wanted to call on, let me move my mouse. If I ever, move it down here. If I ever wanted to call on x, and I just say, so what is x? Or if I want to say x plus 3, it would equal 5, because we said that this variable has a name, has a value, and this value, this name is x, and this x is 2, okay? This variable is x. Now, that's math, and a lot of times it's like, why would you use x? That kind of confuses people with times, and who cares what all about x? We're developers, so we want to do things that are whatever we want. So we can say something as simple as, let's say we're building a website and we want to do, my location. I already did that example, but I can still do it. My location. And I can say that my location equals, instead of Atlanta, I can say Houston. And that's another thing with this Java console is it's just like the text editors and some IDEs like Visual Studio Code. It kind of gives you, intelligence of what they think you're going to say already. So let me just erase this, and I can do my location. And you see it's saying like, do you want my location is Atlanta, or do you want my location is my other location? Because I already put those syntax in previously. So it's kind of saying like, is this the variable that you want? And not quite. I want to create my own type of my location. And it was Atlanta, but I can change it and say that my location is Houston. Okay. And anytime I say anytime I say this variable location and I call upon it, it's going to tell me that my location is Houston. So let's dissect this little syntax here, right here, right? Let's dissect my location. So it's written, my location is written with a lowercase m and a capital L. That's called camel case. It's just used to differentiate our letters, our words, when, we are, I don't know how to spell that, our words when we are, putting them together to make what we're about to make right now, like a variable, or even a function, or even anything in that such. Again, that's just a term we call camel case. The equal sign, and we're saying that this equals 2, this means, and again, we're saying Houston, right? And we put it in the quotation marks because that's called a string. A string is just anything in quotation marks. Okay, that's just, we'll get into strings a little bit, but that's just a string. And then of course the semicolon, a semicolon means that we're going to end this syntax. You don't have to use a semicolon in JavaScript, but it's just better if you do because it's good for readability. When you go back to your code, or let's say I'm looking at your code, I can say, okay, well, this was, one syntax. That means that, so I'm looking, I can read that this is a variable and it's equal to Houston, instead of you just having a whole bunch of stuff and it's jumbled together in your code. And it's like, I don't know where something ends and where it begins. But that don't mean you don't have to have it. You have to have it. You don't have to, again, we want to make sure that not only do we know how to code, but we know how to have code that other folks can read too. So yes, so that's basically this syntax right here. I am assigning a variable to a value, which is Houston. So anytime I say, what's my location? I ask the computer, what's my location? The computer will spew out Houston, okay? I can change it, we changed it to, we didn't change it. We just had it at Houston, and I can say Atlanta. And again, it already remembered the syntax that I put in, enter. And so anytime I call on my location, it will tell me enter Atlanta. So I changed it from Houston, but now Atlanta. So that's kind of how variables work. Looks like we have a question, maybe. This is similar to Python. Exactly, yes, it is exactly like Python, so boom, that is, a variable. We talked about, so if you want to clear this, we don't want to see this no more. We can continue going down if we want. We could just press enter or shift enter and just keep going down if we want, creating multiple lines before we execute this code, because execution would be enter, and you see it's nothing's there. So let's just clear all that out by clicking this like stop. And if you hover over it, the tooltip will say clear console. So you see, now we know what this is. It's a tooltip. So clear console. All right, so that is how did you make your window bigger? So if you kind of hover over the side, you'll have these arrows where you can literally, make it big or make it small with the arrows. Just hover over in the middle. Or the command is like, I don't even know if I want to do it. Control plus sign. Oh, control equal sign. Well, whatever. It's that button. And you press it and actually makes it bigger like this. Oh, no. And then control the minus sign makes it smaller. Maybe I'll make it bigger for y'all right here. So yeah, so you can kind of make it so it kind of fits to your screen. I'm on my second monitor, so it kind of, fits a little bigger for me. But yeah, so that is a variable. So we have, I told you about strings. So strings, this is a string. And we can close it to be good, girls in JavaScript. Enter. And again, it's just saying this is a string. It's just calling out what it is. It's just literal. The one thing about strings is, and again, it's anything you put inside quotations is a string. So, again, you can put anything you want, numbers, letters. The main thing I want you to know is you have to have the same at the beginning and the end. So if you do double quotations or if you do one quotation, you have to do it at the end. So if I do one quotation and I say another string and one quotation, I have to do it. I can't do two. I can't do this one because it's going to give me a syntax error. I literally have to do this. So how did I get to that last command so quickly? I literally just pressed the up arrow key on my keyboard and it gave me the last thing that I typed in the console. And I can press it again and it'll give me another, right? It'll give me my my history. And you can press up and down to do what you want to do. Okay. That's a little trick. If you went through the terminal pathway or the terminal or command line website I gave you, it gives you little tricks like that. And as you can tell, it also works in different types of consoles. So yes, that is a string. Let's see what else is good, because I don't want to go too far in. Oh, what you guys have probably seen a lot, what we kind of just went over was we had the equal sign. So again, we were assigning something. So we can say, you know, my other, we'll just keep it at my location. My location equals, again, Houston. Okay. That means that my location, this is what it is. It is true. Okay. Now we can do things that are, you know, very strict when we're comparing things. So if we wanted to see like, okay, is my location really Houston or is my location really Atlanta? So I can do things like my location equal sign, equal sign, equal sign to something else. And up here, I have my other, I don't know if I set this variable already, but the point I'm trying to make is strict comparing things. And that could either be, you know, strict, or that can be not so strict, okay? Well, not so strict is two equal signs, because the one equal sign will assign it. Two equal signs means I want to compare it in a way of, is this similar? And then we have three equal signs to say, is this strictly the same? And you're trying to say, is this location strictly the same as my other location? Now, this location is a variable. There's a variable, I think we said it as Houston, I don't know. And then this other, my other location is a variable. And I don't know, we probably set it as Atlanta probably. So it's gonna compare, is Houston the same as Atlanta? And it's probably gonna say, no, I don't know if this is, yeah, I don't think it was set. So I can say, let's set two variables. My location equals, okay, so that's Atlanta. I can say my, let's do this one. Location equals, what do we want to put it? I said Atlanta, so let's do Houston. So I have, again, my location, Atlanta, my other location, and it could just finish Houston. And I can compare the two. Is my location the same as my other location? And when I execute it, which is the enter sign, the enter button, it will say false. So is this location, which is Atlanta, strictly equal to my other location, which is Houston? And it's going to give me false. And again, comparisons is what you're going to always be doing in JavaScript, what you do in code, period. Even in Python, you are definitely going to always compare things. Is this equal to this? Did the user press this button? Did the user go to the home page? Did the user add something to its cart? Like, it's always a question to ask. So it's very important to not only know how to assign variables, but to know how to compare variables as well. A question, is this also called a bool in this language? Yes, this is also a boolean, right? A boolean, bool for short, but a boolean basically compares true or false. So yes, they do strict and non-strict equalities. So I can do something like this. Location is not strictly equal to my other location. Okay, so again, like you just mentioned, a bool, booleans. Again, it's just saying is something true or something false. So instead of saying are these two equal, we're saying are these two not equal? Is it a strict inequality? And the syntax for strict inequality is this explanation. So explanation, I think they call this a bang or something. I don't know. but I call it an exclamation mark because that's what it is. And then two equal signs, and it's saying it's just strictly not the same. And we know that because my location equals Atlanta and my other location equals Houston. So it's true, it does not equal, it did happen, okay? So this is just some of the syntax that you will be learning in that JavaScript course. Because again, we're not going to go all over it, but I want you to at least, get familiar with what you're about to dive deep into.